10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 508. Hey everybody, as always, before we dive into the episode, just wanted to remind you all of these episodes are available as YouTube videos on my YouTube channel. So just go on YouTube and search for my name, Nick Maynella. It should be the latest video on the channel. So if you want to see any of these examples that I'm talking about, I always put them on screen, and there are always other visual aids for you. Also, all of the stuff that we talk about in these episodes is always available as PDFs with backing tracks, trading tracks, all kinds of good stuff over on our site, Jazz School. Sign up to support the show with a small monthly donation, and you get everything we talk about in a ready-made package so you can start practicing right away. If you want to know more about that, just click the link in the description, and it will take you over to Jazz School. You get signed up, and then you can decide whether you want to support the channel or not. All right, let's get on to the episode. So I get a lot of questions on what's the best way to practice vocabulary. And while I don't know what is the absolute best way to practice vocabulary, and I've tried a lot of different ways, this is a way that I've been using in my practice lately, and I think it has some interesting benefits, so I'm going to talk about it today. So I've been working on the tune Airegin, the great Sonny Rollins composition. I've been going around and finding different versions and transcribing little bits and pieces that I like. And there's this great video from 2011, live video of Chris Potter and Joe Lovano playing together live in New York City. And I've been mining that video for a lot of vocabulary. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below if you want to go check it out. It is ridiculous. But I found some cool Chris Potter stuff in there. And one thing that I've been doing lately, and kind of the whole point of this video, is I'm not actually looking for like long, complicated 2-5-1 lines and stuff like that. I'm actually just looking for little simple things that I like, and I'm trying to adapt these little things all the way through the tune. So I found this really simple line that Chris Potter plays, and it's over the first chord of the tune, so a concert F minor chord. He just plays this really simple thing that I really dig. So just a little short, not even one measure long thing. I just love the way this comes across, and I think it gives me a lot to work with. So the basic idea here is that I want to take this little tiny idea and I want to try to flesh it out over an entire chorus. And I will actually write an etude for myself, trying to keep this little idea sort of the through line through the entire thing. So the first thing I like to do is figure out sort of what's going on. So maybe I'll start with, well, what are the actual notes over that chord of the moment? So over an F minor chord, it's really simple. It's 4, 2, or 9. Then it goes down to the flat 7, jumps up to 5, and lands on the root. That's the first way I can kind of conceive of this line, right? Now, there are other ways to think about this, and I will try to think about them in all sorts of different ways. What if, instead of thinking about how it related to the chord, I thought about it intervallically? So what I notice if I think about it that way is start on that concert B flat, go down a minor third, then go down a major third. Oh, well, that's actually just a major triad coming down from the fifth. So I could think about it like that, or I could think about it as those two things, minor third, major third. Then I'm jumping up a sixth and then up a fourth. That's another way to think about it. A really useful way, in my opinion. Okay, so there's another way to conceive of that little tiny phrase. What's another one? Well, I could think direction. So down, down, up, up. And then if I'm going to do directionality, I also want to kind of just have a general idea in my mind of the width of the intervals. So let's say that thirds are what I would call a narrow interval. And remember, this is just shorthand. It's just a general way of looking at things. So 2 narrower intervals going down, and then 2 wider intervals going up, a 6th and then a 4th. That's another way to conceive of this phrase, another way to use what Chris Potter played to give me inspiration for ultimately how I'm going to flip this. Now what I do is I sit down with my saxophone and some manuscript paper, and I just start writing a chorus that I think sounds cool. Now, we won't go over the entire form of Airegin because it's really long. However, I will have the entire etude available for the supporters of the channel. More on that later. But let's look at some of the things that I've done and maybe analyze a few small parts of this. So how about this? Here's the first 8. You'll notice that I start with the exact idea, and then I do a whole bunch of stuff with it. So in this first 8 bars, I'm mostly keeping the idea intact, right? But I'm just kind of moving it around, both rhythmically, and then my challenge is to fit it to these different chords that are happening. So you'll notice in the second bar, I'm fitting it to that C7, sharp 5, sharp 9, C7 altered. So you'll notice that I'm like maintaining the shape, maintaining the interval structure largely, but I'm just trying to use a bunch of those altered tones, which gives it a sense of, okay, here's the line, here's the line flipped with a bunch of tension, and then I come out of it with the exact same line at the beginning, but I'm flipping it rhythmically. And then at the end of that 4 bars, I interject with my own idea, a little scale idea that I think sounds cool, coming from all the stuff that I just played. Now I'm transposing it in bar 5 to fit over that concert B flat minor chord. And then again, interjecting with my own idea, and then going back to playing the idea in B flat minor, but treating it in, I think, a rhythmically interesting way again. And basically, I'm just continuing this throughout. So if we were to look at the second, this form is weird, right? So it's like 8, 12. So let's look at that 12 bars that follow it. So I think it's not hard to hear all the different places that I'm using the idea. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to evolve the idea and actually keep my statement, my etude, interesting. But the central thing is I never want to get too far from something that resembles that idea. And here's the advantage that I think this provides as a way to work on vocabulary. Okay, first of all, you have to be creative. It's on you. You're just taking a tiny little thing, and then you're using your ears and your creativity and your conception of how music is supposed to sound to create a much larger statement from this seed that an amazing musician that you look up to has given you. Now, the other thing I really like about it is I've done a lot of work on 2-5-1 vocabulary and like some of that classic stuff, taking a 2-5 and then verbatim putting it into all 12 keys. That's great work. I did a lot of that and it benefited me a ton. But at this point in my life, I'm sort of less interested in just like learning a line verbatim. I'm interested in how can I look at something like a 2-5-1 in a completely different way. And I find that this type of work does that for me because I'm sort of forced into, okay, well, how can I handle this 2-5-1 while holding on to that original idea that was not played over a 2-5-1. So in essence, I'm getting a bunch of new language over things like 2-5-1s and every other harmonic motion that happens in this tune, but I'm coming at it in a completely different way than like, all right, what 2-5-1 lick can I just like steal and insert? I have to be creative, and it forces my ear to open up to new things, new possibilities. And I find that it's really helping my vocabulary in general, but especially my vocabulary over things like 2-5-1s. And this tune is great because it's based off of 2-5-1s basically the entire way through. Let's hear the etude all the way through so you can see what I've done with it. And what I want you to do when you're listening to this is really try to follow the original idea and see if you can see and hear how I'm adapting it all the way through and hopefully evolving it where I'm interjecting with my own ideas, but ultimately coming back to that original idea by Chris Potter. Okay, so I mentioned that for the supporters of the channel, and if you're not sure what I'm talking about, we have a fantastic community of people that support this channel in the form of a small monthly donation. I don't do any ad reads or anything on this, and the YouTube ad revenue is certainly not paying the bills. So if you enjoy what we do here and you get something out of it and you want the materials from each lesson in return, there'll be a link in the description. You can go and sign up for my online jazz education platform, Jazz School, which is totally free. And then once you're in there, there'll be a whole bunch of information on how you can support the channel with that small monthly donation. And that really helps. You'll get this etude in concert, B flat, E flat, and bass clef. And then what I'm going to do, and this is the crucial part, if you really like this idea and you want to take it seriously and you want to get the benefits from it, I want you to write your own chorus based off of this idea. And I want you to post that in Jazz School, and I want to see the work that you're doing. And it doesn't have to be over this tune, and it doesn't have to be with this idea, but this could be a good starting place for you. All right, everybody, so that's one of my favorite ways, and the way that I'm most working on vocabulary lately, and I'm seeing huge benefits from it. So if you're looking for a new way to work on vocabulary, try this. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'll see you there. As always, thanks for hanging, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.